What's going on, YouTube family? Jimmy House here, coming at you with the very first question and answer video, Q&A video, other things that describe you asking me questions and I giving my input on those questions video. Anyways, so, in case you guys are wondering, I'm sure you were, probably not, gonna say it anyways because it's part of a good video. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Probably not. See what happens. Anyways, so what I got planned for you guys today is I took a group of questions, branching off from my different social media platforms. So I have like followers on Twitter messaging me, Snapchat followers, Instagram, different comments left on my previous YouTube videos from you guys. Asked me various questions, some about lifting, some about me personally. I really like the different questions that are going to be in this group, so I'm going to try to answer them to my best ability. With that being said, I wanted to point out that the questions that are being asked to me from these specific individuals, I asked them prior to posting these questions within this video if it was okay, if I had their consent to do so. They all happily agreed, so everything's good there. So as I'm doing the questions and stuff like that, I'm going to be trying to put some training footage in from this past week. Nothing too crazy happening in there, but just thought, you know, it'd be something cool to just put training footage in there while I answer the questions so I can keep you guys somewhat entertained and whatnot. So other than that, we're going to get started with the very first question.
Alrighty, we're going to start with something simple here. So we have Abraham Rodriguez from YouTube who asked, do you make the not shredded and not concerned shirt? Because I definitely want to purchase a few. Also, I wanted to ask if you and your team are going to compete at the Europa Games Expo here in Phoenix. No, I don't make the not shredded, not concerned shirt. That's actually something I purchased off of EliteFTS.com. They have a lot of cool shirts on there in regards to like weightlifting and stuff like that, so decided to pick up a few. And I just thought the shirt kind of speaks for itself as far as like my opinion on things, and being a power lifter and stuff like that, I don't need to worry about being lean and stuff like that to lift the most weight possible. Back in my bodybuilding days, I probably would have been a different opinion, but hey, all I got to worry about is how much I lift now, so we're chilling there. Anyways, as far as the Europa goes, I'm not personally competing at the Europa Expo since that's about 3 or 4 weeks after my competition in Vegas, the Mr. Olympia Expo, but I'm sure I'll have a couple people from my team planning to compete at the Europa that I'll be coaching, so you'll probably see me there coaching some of the guys and stuff like that. So if you see me there, make sure to come say hi and say what's up. Cool. Next one. Next up, I have a question from YouTube from Steven and Jamie Powerlift. These two are good friends of mine. They're from up north in Flagstaff. They're a powerlifting couple. Steven went to my high school, so I know him pretty well. They ask, I've never lifted in single ply or multiply gear, but I have thought about doing it. What have your experiences, good and bad, been with them? Also, do your raw lifts transfer pretty well with the gear on? Well, for those of you who don't know, single ply and multiply gear in powerlifting, there's something called geared lifting, where the lifters gear up in what's called squat suits, bench shirts, and deadlift suits. Basically, what they are, they're a very tight polyester material, and they help add weight to the lifter's squat, bench, or deadlift. It's not cheating. It's a separate division within powerlifting, but that's basically what the suits do. You'll see in some of my videos with me in my squat suits and stuff like that, to give you an idea. As far as the question goes, I personally have had pretty good experiences with the single ply gear. I've never tried multiply. I don't really plan to. They definitely help a lot as far as like compression goes. If you want to think about it and put it, it's like a big giant knee wrap around your whole body. And the tightness and compression you feel from a knee wrap is kind of the tightness compression you feel from a squat suit or a bench shirt or a deadlift suit. So, you know, you do some high volume training, some heavy weightlifting with your squat suit on, put in the work, come out of it, and you feel like you didn't even squat. You know, your joints feel good and everything feels good. So I think it helps in the sense of keeping your body intact, allowing you to have heavy loads on your body and be able to stay consistent with it as long as the correct technique is used. So I like it in that sense. Also, I like it in the sense that I guess I'm ranked pretty highly in the country in my specific division and weight class for single ply. So I like in the sense that I'm very competitive with my single ply gear. As far as bad experiences go, the only bad thing really about single ply gear and stuff like that is the fact that it takes a long time to break it in, and you kind of have to kind of deal with some of the troubles of having to squeeze yourself in there and squeeze yourself out, and that's being very, very vague about the topic. I can't express to you how many times I've been in my squat and deadlift suit and I've been sitting there for 20-30 minutes having a group of 5 or 6 people trying to literally tug that off of me. If you guys are lucky, I'll probably put that in a video sometime. But yeah, the only difficulty I've had with the suits and stuff like that is how tight they can be, which is what you want when you're lifting the actual weight. But when you're getting the weight off, when you're finishing up, that's when you can run into issues. And then do your raw lifts transfer pretty well with the gear on? I say they definitely do. With the suits, depending upon which suit, a squat suit you might get 100 to 150 pounds of it out of it. A bench shirt you might get 100 to 150 pounds. A deadlift suit not as much. Maybe if you pull sumo, maybe like 25 to 35 pounds out of it. So I definitely say working on your raw strength and transferring into the suit helps a lot more. That's why in my off season I train raw and try to work on my raw strength, and then when I start prepping for a single ply competition, then I'll work in my suit and hit my numbers in the suit X amount of weeks out. But yeah, I definitely say it does. Alrighty, next question. I have Jonathan from my Snapchat who messaged me and said, I watched some of your videos last night on YouTube. I wanted to know what supplements you take. I'm 14 and squat 315 and deadlift 325 pounds. Well, first off, I want to say those are great numbers for being so young, buddy. So definitely keep improving on those and keep working hard. As far as what supplements I take, I stick pretty basic with them. I don't try to get too fancy as far as just saving money and realizing that supplements are purely to supplement a good training regimen and a good diet. So they're not miracles, but they definitely do help. I stick with the basic whey protein. I do glutamine, I do creatine, I do branched chain amino acids, and I do ZMA at night before I go to bed. And then some pre-workout before I train. But as far as supplements go, that's what I try to stick to. I find it works pretty well. It's pretty basic, but I found that in life, if you stick to the basics, you usually come out on top most of the time.
Breaking away from the footage for a little bit, I have Jay Sanchez 96 on Snapchat who asks, hey bro, do you have any advice on squats? I'm trying to get to 405 for at least a few reps by the time I turn 20, which is exactly 2 months away. Like any techniques or rep ranges? I usually do drop sets or pyramids most of the time. Well, if your goal is 405 for a few reps, I have to assume that you're relatively close to 405 for at least one, or in the higher 300s. So some of the techniques and stuff like that I've learned, as far as techniques go, you can kind of refer back to some of the squat videos that I posted and kind of try to mimic that form and see if it works for you. As far as like rep ranges go, my best advice is to take your goal and set up a training program for you that starts 8 weeks out, 2 months away. And start with a lower percentage, so like maybe 70% of your projected 1 rep max, where you're shooting for 405 for 2 or 3 reps, and do that 70% of that weight for I guess it depends how much your body can handle and what you'll respond to, but maybe I might do 5 sets of 5, something like that, with 70% of that weight. And then as each week goes on, I'll take the sets and reps and I'll decrease them a little bit, but the percentage will go higher, so the weight will go higher, so that my body is getting used to heavier and heavier weight, but it's not being taxed so much to where it's not going to be able to perform come the day you're ready to max out for your max 405 reps. So the week before you might be doing 95% of that for like two sets of 1 or 2 reps, so that by the time you're ready to peak the following week, you'll be ready. Your body will be rested and you'll be trained to properly hit that weight come that specific day. It's kind of like a powerlifting prep. I learned that specifically from Tim Sparks over at Die Hard Gym in Peoria, Arizona. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's a great place. You'll see me training there in a lot of the videos and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my best advice as far as that goes. Alrighty, Johnny Waddell from Twitter asks, I'm going to start trying to lose weight and get back to where I was when I was wrestling at about 195 pounds. What kinds of workouts would fit a weight loss program the best? I want to get down to 195 and bulk back up to 205 with good weight, muscle, not fat. So my best advice for you, man, is just basically you want to stick to a consistent weightlifting program where my best advice is to split it up into muscle groups: a push day, a pull day, a leg day, and maybe 1 or 2 days dedicated to abs, cardio, or different accessory muscle groups. Stick with weightlifting. The weightlifting is going to help complement the whole weight loss process, help you put on some lean muscle mass as you trim down. Added on to the weightlifting, obviously a good clean diet. Implementing a lot of vegetables, a lot of lean protein, some moderate complex carbs in the right places, in the right portions, is all going to help contribute to that weight loss. With that, try to manipulate the amount of cardio you do. Start low with the amount of cardio you do, and then as you get deeper and deeper into your weight loss journey, increase the cardio. You can start with low intensity training cardio where you're doing like maybe elliptical on a low difficulty, or like walking on the treadmill, anything of that sort, and then start implementing HIIT training, high intensity interval training, where you're doing stuff like what we did back in wrestling, the type of like sprints and just basically athletic training, sprints. You can even go on the Stairmaster and bump up the difficulty on that and try to keep up with the pace there. There's a lot of ways to manipulate the type of cardio you do. I'm a big fan of swimming. You can definitely try that. Swimming laps in the pool again and again and again will definitely trim you down fast. Actually, the type of cardio I did when prepping for my first bodybuilding show back when I was 17. Alrighty, I have a question from the same question from two people actually. I have from Twitter, T Brookshire 0511 and Duncan Hunley from YouTube. They ask, what is your diet and what is your training split like? So as far as diet goes, powerlifting right now, I'm not very strict on my diet. It really depends if I'm trying to cut down to a weight class or if I'm trying to maintain my weight to make a weight class. If I'm not really worried about my weight, to be honest with you guys, I'm not very strict with my diet. I'm not doing bodybuilding. I'm not doing something that requires me to be at a low percentage of body fat. So I don't try to be too strict about what I eat. There's structure with what I'm doing right now. I'm preparing for the Olympia in 6 weeks, so I'm trying to keep my body weight around 245 so I can make the 242 weight class. So a lot of my food, I do eat a lot of high carbs, so like pasta, oatmeal, rice, stuff like that, and I do a lot of meats, some higher in fat, some lower in fat. So I might do steak, I might do chicken, throw some good fats in there like olive oil, avocado, stuff like that. Along with my basic protein shakes throughout the day. That's kind of how I eat now for powerlifting. You definitely want to definitely have a lot of calories and a lot of carbs to support the heavy toll your body takes when handling the heavy weight that powerlifting comes with it. As far as bodybuilding goes, that's a whole another topic that I can answer in a different video as far as dieting for bodybuilding or for being lean. If you guys curious on my opinions on that, feel free to comment down below and I'll put that in the very next Q&A. But that's basically what I do for diet right now for powerlifting. As far as training goes, I have I work out 4 days a week. Monday being my bench press day, where I obviously focus on my competition bench and then do other accessory movements to complement the shoulders, triceps, and pectorals engaged in that lift. I try to label myself as a power bodybuilder, so I do my powerlifting movements at the beginning of every workout, and then I back off and work down to more hypertrophy isolation movements as the workout goes on. So on Wednesdays I squat, I hit my numbers for squat, and then I'll do different, it depends what the day has in store, but maybe leg press, maybe a different isolation movement for legs, hamstrings, and glutes. It really depends. Friday I have more of an accessory day where I focus on my shoulders, so I do a little heavier shoulders, do something to increase my shoulder strength, and I back off and do basic like arm day that anyone in the gym does. And then on Saturday mornings I do deadlifts, where I usually try to keep it to just deadlifts, but I'll do my deadlifts. I'll hit my deadlift number for the day. I'll hit one accessory movement to complement the deadlift, and then I might do some isolation movement for the upper back at the end. So that's basically how my training goes. And what I'm doing is, if you're doing a bodybuilding split, it's going to be a little bit different. You can add more days into your week with your working out. For powerlifting, it's very taxing on the central nervous system. So a good powerlifter is going to incorporate 2 or 3 rest days a week so that their body has a chance to recuperate and rebuild again for their next workout. For bodybuilding, it's not as taxing on the nervous system, so bodybuilders can get away with working 5, 6, 7 days a week. But for me, I prefer, my body works with 4. I respond to high volume. So if you're asking what I respond to, I respond to high volume workouts where I'm doing a lot of sets, a lot of reps, and then I try my best to take about a day of rest in between each major workout at least. And that's basically how I do my training split for right now.
Alrighty, my next question is from Twitter. I have Thomason Ethan, who says, "Hey man, I'm really inspired by what you're doing, and I just wanted to ask you if you have any tips for going to the gym. I've been working out on and off for about 2 years. I know the general idea for working out, but are there any tips or ideas that would be much appreciated? I still keep up on the gains, man. I love the YouTube vids." Well, first of all, thank you very much for your support, brother. That means the world to me. As far as your question goes, a general piece of advice that I can give to anyone who's trying to pursue going to the gym on a consistent basis would be to, first of all, think about what your goal is. Obviously, everyone's going to the gym for a reason, right? So otherwise they wouldn't be there. So think about what your goal is, whether you're trying to get stronger, whether you're trying to lose weight, have better cardio, whatever the case may be. Write down that specific goal, that one big major goal that you're trying to achieve on a piece of paper, type it up, print it out, whatever. Tape it on your wall so that you see it every single day when you wake up. And below that, you want to write little mini goals that you are forced to achieve along the way, and you have to accomplish each one of those mini goals. It's kind of like a stair. You want to accomplish the first step before you accomplish the next. And whatever the case may be, you might not go from having a beer gut to a 6-pack in the first week, but if you lose 1.5 inches off your waist in that first week, then you're doing pretty well. And before you know it, you go from a beer gut to having a 6-pack with veins across your stomach, and before you know it, you accomplish the goals and you're the inspiration of a generation. So as far as that goes, man, I just say keep it like that. It's just going to allow you to stay motivated and help you realize that you're making progress, since a lot of times people's goals, you don't see the major progress right away, and that's when people start to lose motivation. So I believe this is probably one of the best ways to keep yourself motivated in the gym. Just setting your sights on what you want to accomplish and planning out a way to get there. All right, I have a question from YouTube from Ramon Arellano. I hope that I pronounced that correctly. He says, "Jim, I go to Maryville High School and I'm about to be a senior and I'm trying to gain some weight for football season. Do you have any tips?" Yeah, sure. My best advice to you, man, you're young, you're still growing, your body wants to grow. So basically all you have to do is really do what it takes to let it naturally grow. And the 2 things that are going to be important to do so are going to be eating, getting enough calories so that your body has the proper caloric intake in order for it to grow. So you're going to have to be eating a lot of high calorie foods, not necessarily unhealthy foods, but foods that are calorically dense, and in higher volume and more frequently throughout the day. Also with that, it's going to be important for you to implement weight training into your weekly regimen. Definitely try to incorporate a lot of heavy compound movements like deadlift, squat, bench press, rows, stuff in that effect, so that your body is forced to get stronger and get bigger with just those movements in general. I believe those are the best base movements in order for anyone to get stronger or to put on size or anything of that sense. And you being a football player, you can definitely benefit from those movements. Alrighty, I have Anthony Trazancos, who messaged me on Twitter saying, "Hey Jimmy, if you have time, I was wondering if you could tell me some guidelines about how to go about training for powerlifting. I'm looking to get into the sport, and instead of focusing on mass, I want to focus on strength. I'd like to know how to train for strength and what a good training regimen would be." Well, okay, so obviously for powerlifting, you want to focus on squat, bench, and deadlift. My best advice to you is to try to find a gym in your area that is more geared towards powerlifting, because the odds of you finding someone that has experience in the subject is going to be a lot greater. And finding someone who's willing to help the younger generation learn the sport of powerlifting is going to, benefit you a lot. That's kind of what happened with me. If you don't have that, my best advice then is to definitely take advantage of different videos you can find online. There's plenty of elite level powerlifters that are on YouTube that explain their technique and their movements to each and every lift, to where, I've had friends that purely teach themselves off of YouTube, and then they come into training and I would think that they've been competing for years, but in reality they've just been watching YouTube videos. Roy. So, I've personally seen people have success with that. As far as getting into powerlifting goes, man, once you feel like you have the technique and stuff like that down, as far as you feel confident within your own self, I say jump right into it. Jump into a meet, some local meet, some small meet, get the feel for it, and then maybe you'll get the itch for it and you want to keep pursuing it. But yeah, a lot of times people will talk to me and be like, well, I'm not sure if I'm ready or not. It's not really about being ready as far as like if you'll get first or not, or if you'll qualify for this or that. It's really if you feel you're ready within your own mind. If you feel like you are ready to perform at your very best, then that's really all you can ask for out of yourself. And it's best that you jump into it as soon as possible instead of putting it on weight. As far as training goes, there's several different programs you can find online. I'm not going to say I'm an expert in my own, but I like to base a lot of my training off of high volume. That's basically how I do it. I do a lot of high volume, and try to do a lot of accessory work to complement the squat, bench, or deadlift. And then as far as like rep schemes and stuff like that goes, it depends on what I'm doing, if I'm in prep or if I'm off season. That I can get into more technicalities later. You can actually message me personally if you want to know more about that, buddy. But yeah, basically I would kind of do what I said previously as far as getting started within the sport. Once you're ready, just get after it. Okay, and I have Jesse Zelkin from YouTube, a fellow wrestler, who says, "Hey man, first of all, you're a beast and I watch all your YouTube videos. And second, I'm a fellow wrestler and lifter as well. I wouldn't really consider myself a power lifter, although I have done 4 meets. But I have a lower back injury right now, which makes it very hard to deadlift and squat as much as I would like to. And I was wondering if you had any advice or tips on how to fix lower back pain and keep it fixed. Any reply would be great, and keep up the awesome work." Well, thank you very much, Jesse. I appreciate that support, brother. It's good to see you on Instagram and Facebook all the time with all your support. As far as your lower back pain goes, man, that's a tough one. My best advice for stuff like that, rest is key, obviously. Icing, putting heat on the area, compression. If you have a belt, I definitely suggest using it. As far as active recovery and stuff like that, in the gym, you might want to focus. Well, first, I would take some rest off of it, take 1 or 2 weeks off of the lower back and slowly work back into those movements. And when you come back into those movements, I would focus on working your core, your abs, your lower back area, doing back hyperextensions. There's different assistance machines in the gym that work that area. You just want to make sure those little muscle fibers in the back, in the lower back, are all kind of up to par with the bigger muscles, that you don't have that muscle imbalance. Bracing your core during the squat and deadlift is a big contributor in keeping a lot of the stress off of your lower back. I found personally that bracing your core when you're doing squats and deadlifts and making sure your core is as tight as humanly possible when you do the squat and deadlift has helped take a lot of the pain and stress off of my lower back. Learning how to take a big breath of air in, brace it down into my abdomen, my belly, and hold that tightness all the way down through the bottom into the top of the movement has helped kind of tighten up my whole core area, where every single muscle fiber in my body is ready to lift the weight. A lot of times the lower back pain is going to come from, I've seen it a lot, where people, when they're doing squat and deadlift, they're preparing their legs to lift the weight, they're preparing their upper back to lift the weight, but they're not preparing their core to lift the weight. And a lot of times you get lower back pain when your core isn't properly engaged with the compound movement like the squat or deadlift. So my best advice to you is to really practice tightening up your core, bracing your core as tight as you possibly can before you descend in your squat or before you pull up during the deadlift.
and it should help take a lot of the strain off your back. So you'll see in a lot of my videos, I take a big breath of air in like this, and I'll punch it down into my abdominal area, and I'll brace my abs and my whole core area, you know, basically flexing on my abs, and it helps takes a lot of the stress away from it. With what you got right now, man, I would get massages done, deep tissue. Might want to go to the chiropractor, get adjusted, stuff like that. That's just good, healthy maintenance type habits to develop. That'll help kind of keep the pain and stress off of that lower back area, and hopefully that gets better for you, man. Let me know how the progress goes. Alrighty, so I'm going to break away from the training footage real fast and answer this last and final question. This question is coming from a comment on YouTube from someone by the name of Nathan Wilkerson. It might be Wilkerson. I don't know who this is. It's not like he's my friend. I haven't known him since like first grade or anything. We don't live in the same neighborhood. We actually don't even train together, but I'm going to answer it as if I did know him. Anyways, so Nathan Wilkerson, of which I still do not know, asks, who do you train with? What makes your team special? And what does how strong mean to me? Mean to you? Me? Whoever. He's asking me this question. Anyways, so who do I train with? I train with, I'm very fortunate to train with many of my closest friends. Many people that I grew up with in my very own neighborhood, i.e. not Nathan Wilkerson. I have people that I've known since I was in first grade, like, you've seen them several times in my videos, Irving and Matt and some kid that's not Nathan Wilkerson, my girlfriend Marissa, Raylan, Fernando, all people that I've known for a good amount of time, and being able to train with a group of people that on a personal level before you jump to that gym or training level, it makes training a lot more fun because you really feel like you're doing it with your friends. And although I do take training seriously, obviously, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of spare time in my life to go out and hang out all the time and stuff like that, like some people do. So being fortunate enough to hang out with my friends and stuff like that during something that I enjoy, like training. I feel like I'm genuinely hanging out with my friends while I'm at the gym. Although I'm super, super serious while training, I genuinely feel like I'm hanging out with my friends. And this is like pretty much almost 4 or 5 days a week. So with that being said, I'm very fortunate to train with the people I do. Next question. All right, next question. The question is, what makes your team special? So branching off from the question I previously answered, like I said, I train with a group of people that I've known for a very, very long time, and for the people that I haven't known for, 14 years or so or whatever, I feel like I've known them longer than I have, and I feel like we've all grown very, very close. For me personally, I wrestled for 4 years of my life, right, and the team aspect of an individual sport can really make a difference in that with an individual sport, obviously you're training to hit your best number or win your wrestling match or run the fastest or whatever sport you compete in. Yes, at the end of the day it all comes down to you. Yes, you determine your own success, but I've been witness and I've been able to feel the impact that a team has on an individual sport. A good team in an individual sport makes it almost feel like it's not individual sport. Anyways, a good team in an individual sport kind of makes it feel like you're not always out there alone. You're not out there alone. Although you might be the only one out there performing, you do feel the presence of your teammates. And that's kind of what I feel with this team right now, with Team How Strong. We're all kind of together. We train together as much as we can. The last competition we had, and you'll see in my last video, the Nationals recap, we were all very, very close together that day. We all came together, supported each other, and we all had very, very exceptional meets, and I believe it's due to that reason. Lastly, last question. What does how strong mean to me? Well, how strong? It's interesting. when I wanted to make this channel, to make this, this logo, this brand, whatever you want to call it, How Strong, you think it'd be something that I put a lot of thought into. Honestly, I really didn't. I just kind of sat down and be like, oh, hey, it'd be cool to make a YouTube channel, put some of my knowledge out there, put some of my training out there, maybe, just kind of promote myself in that way. And obviously with that, you got to have some type of name, some type of logo, some type of brand that people can, look at and be like, oh, hey, that's Jimmy's brand, and that's kind of what he's doing. You think it'd take a lot of time. Honestly, just kind of sitting around and be like, well, what if I just did How Strong? I like it. We're stuck with it, and it's going well so far. So hey, How Strong, in general, I believe it represents unity. I believe it represents goals. I believe it represents more than what's encompassed in the training that's in the weight room. I think that How Strong, the term strength in general, I believe a lot of times is reduced to only fitness or weight training or whatever. I would like the term How Strong to be associated with several different aspects of life. No matter what you choose to pursue in life, the term strong should be associated with a person's ability to see their goals, plan for those goals, attack those goals, and with the unavoidable adversity that comes with pursuing high goals, the person gains the strength strong to push past those goals and achieve those goals. I think that's what the term strong should be associated with. Not just weights, not just training, not just fitness. No, none of that. No, I can't express how much the term strong is overused in purely just fitness. And that's one of the things that I kind of disagree with when it comes to the fitness industry and stuff like that. You can be strong, weigh 100 pounds, read books all day, but guess what? If you have a master's degree and that's what you pursued, and the adversity that came was pursuing that master's degree, and heck, a major in English, you are strong in that matter, in your skill set, and I respect you to the max. And I think How Strong with that, I think the team goal should be to be able to have that strength, to be strong, and not only with the weights, but with everything that we pursue outside of, training, outside in our actual everyday lives, whether it's work, school, relationships, family. It can really be anything, and I think that's really what I try to encompass the term How Strong to represent. Cool. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much, but I just want to put my input on things and kind of give a good, legit, question and answer, giving you guys everything that comes through my mind when these questions come to my attention. So with the Q&A being done, it's not the last. Let me know if you have any questions. Keep posting questions in the comments below if you guys want. Feel free to message me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, with any questions you guys have, and I'll start kind of collecting those questions again and get a new Q&A video out. So without further ado, guys, see you in the next video. Peace out.